Okay, this is English 201, Week 1, Part 4. So now we hit metaphor. Metaphor is where things get actually interesting. Um, metaphor is uh, metaphor is simple. Metaphor takes two things that are different and it makes a connection between the two things, saying that they're actually kind of similar. Even though they look different, they have some similarities. That's metaphor. That's it. It's nice and easy. Metaphor is a simple thing we teach people all the time. So sometimes it'll be like, this guy is a lion on the battlefield. Okay, we've taken two things, lion, soldier, and we've compared them. What do they have in common? So let's do an even simpler. Let's do a really simple metaphor. Um, on the battlefield, he is as strong and dangerous as a lion. It's really easy. On the battlefield, this soldier is as strong and dangerous as a lion. It's a metaphor. What are we comparing? We're comparing the lion to the soldier. What do they have in common? Well, it's easy. It's right in the sentence. Strong, dangerous. That's it. Brave or whatever, right? Whatever they said. This man is as strong and dangerous as a lion on the battlefield. That's it. Really easy metaphor. Um, because the sentence was crystal clear. The sentence told you what two things were being compared, and the sentence told you what they had in common. So that's very, very easy. Um, and so when you talk about metaphor, you always got to say those three things. You got to say what's being compared to what, and what do they have in common. He is as strong and dangerous when he is on the battlefield. He is as strong and dangerous as a lion. The dude is being compared to a lion. What does he have in common? They're both strong. They're both dangerous, and that's it. Nice and simple. By the way, some of you are going, wait a minute, professor. I think that's a simile. I don't care about similes. High school teachers have this weird thing where they teach students that simile and metaphor are different, which is dumb. Um, a simile is they tend to go, a simile uses like or as. He is as strong as a lion. That's a simile, and that's correct. But then they say that metaphor doesn't do that. That metaphor is he is a lion on the battlefield. Um, I don't. It's not that simile and metaphor aren't different. It's that simile is a type of metaphor. There are like 1,000 different types of metaphors. Like if you take something non-human and you compare it to something human, that's called personification. Um, so if you're comparing trees to people, if you say that the branches of the tree look like a person's arms all spread wide, that's personification. Look, I don't care about personification. All I need to do is be like, that's a metaphor. Synecdoche is a type of metaphor. Personification is a type of metaphor. Simile is a type of metaphor. Metonymy is a type of metaphor. It just goes. The list just goes on and on and on. I don't care. All I care is metaphor. Can you notice the two things are being compared? And also that the two things are being compared because they have something in common, because they are similar. You're probably expecting me to move on at this point, but I'm going to be staying here for a while because metaphor gets quite complicated quite fast. So there's the first kind of metaphor that's nice and easy. On the battlefield, he is as strong and dangerous as a lion. Very easy. They told me what two things are being compared and what they have in common. Done. They could have been slightly more advanced. Sometimes you'll hear metaphors that are a little more complex, where they'll say, he is a lion on the battlefield. And then you have to go in your brain, I wonder why he's like a lion. He's probably strong, he's probably dangerous, he's probably brave, because you know these things about lions. So you have to do, sometimes people will give you all three parts. They'll tell you what two things are being compared, and they'll tell you what they have in common. Sometimes they only give you two parts, where they just tell you this is like this, and you have to figure out what they have in common. So just to give you there's a famous line of poetry, tiger, tiger, burning bright. Now, notice, by the way, you can't solve this line of poetry with summary. Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forests of the night. Because if you use summary, is the tiger on fire? They said he was burning. And so people who are summarizing the poem will often try to do something weird, like be like, oh, why did that person say burning? And they go, I don't know, I guess the tiger's on fire. The tiger's not on fire. The line of poetry is, tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forests of the night. Why is a tiger described as burning? Just you have to figure that out. Now, one of the things you want to notice is that the poem says tiger, tiger, burning bright. Is the tiger actually on fire? No, then it's probably a metaphor. Same thing. He is a lion on the battlefield. Is the guy actually a lion? No, must be a metaphor. If something isn't literally happening, meaning it's not part of the summary, meaning if you were standing there, you wouldn't see it. Like if you were standing next to the tiger in that poem, the tiger's not on fire. If you were standing next to that dude, you'd be like, he's not a lion, this is the person. That's summary. Metaphor is something that isn't literally happening. It's not actually happening. It's an idea in the poem, but it's not happening to the character. So when the line of poetry says, tiger, tiger, burning bright, you have to say what two things are being compared. And this one's a little tricky because you can't say tiger and burning because burning's not a noun. So what two things are being compared? Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forests of the night. The tiger is being compared to fire. Now, you had to figure that out from burning. So that's a little tricky. And then you got to think to yourself, why? Why is the tiger being compared to fire? What do they have in common? And then this is where it gets even more complicated because you're going to come up with an answer and you're going to be like, I got it. I'm done. They're both dangerous. Fire is dangerous. The tiger is dangerous. I figured it out. Move on. And you're not wrong, by the way. That's not a bad answer. I'll give you pretty good credit for it. If that's your answer, I like it. It's pretty good. I'm giving you a B. But if you want the A, you got to stop and you got to think a little bit more. Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forest of the night. Tiger's not actually on fire. He's not really burning, so it's a metaphor. The tiger is being compared to something that burns. That's fire. What does the tiger have in common with fire? Well, they're both dangerous. They're both orange. Now we're cooking. That's that you so metaphor works on sort of it sort of suggests multiple things. Just like the guy in the battlefield was strong like a lion, dangerous like a lion, brave like a lion. The tiger's being compared to fire because they both the tiger's being compared to fire because they're dangerous. Tiger will kill you, fire will kill you, but they're both orange. That's a really important detail. So again, this is what you're doing with metaphor. Now, you think I'd be done, but I'm not done. Metaphor is really interesting. I give you these five key terms, really four, and summary is stupid, so it's really three. Summary is not stupid. Summary is extremely important, but if you get stuck there, you're going to look stupid. All right, let's talk about the advanced type of metaphor. So I mentioned sometimes they'll give you all three parts. He is as strong and brave on the battlefield as a lion. You got the two things being compared, the guy and the lion, and the sentence told you what they have in common. Pretty easy. Slightly harder one is when they go, he is a lion on the battlefield. And then you go, okay, I got it. And then you have to figure out what they have in common because the sentence isn't going to tell you. You got to think about that. But the really so sometimes you get all three parts of it because remember, metaphor always has three parts. Something is being compared to something else, and there's something that those two things have in common, something that's similar about them. Sometimes you get all three parts. He is as brave as a lion on the battlefield. Sometimes you only get two parts. He is a lion on the battlefield, and you got to figure out what they have in common. Sometimes, the most interesting times, you only get one part, and you have to figure out the whole thing from just one part. And that's where things get interesting. So a lot of people, for example, will watch the movie Godzilla. You know Godzilla, the big monster? He's a big dragony looking lizard monster that blows up cities. Most people watch that movie and they'll tell you a summary of the movie. He's a big giant lizard dude that attacks cities and the Air Force blows him up or whatever. I don't know. Godzilla. It's a whole bunch of movies starring Godzilla. Godzilla is a metaphor. Godzilla is a metaphor for America. That's strange. That doesn't sound right. That's ridiculous. That is 100% correct that Godzilla is a metaphor for America. Why? Actually, I'll answer that on this. I'm running out of time on this video, so I'll answer that in the next video.